Hello, hello. Welcome to Top Shelf Reviews Trail Fails. This is episode 2 of my wife's first and so far only backpacking trip. Just a quick recap of day 1. We started at Timberline Lodge on Mount Hood in Oregon, and we headed north on the Pacific Crest Trail. We probably did 7 or 8 miles that first day, taking way more steps than I was used to, so my feet were hurting. The sidestep shoes my wife was wearing were rubbing her feet, and so she had blisters. Right before we got to our camp, we crossed the Sandy River, probably around 7 o'clock at night, so it was kind of raging on us. So once we got to camp, got our tent pitched, we washed our stuff, hung it up to dry overnight. So start of day 2, one mistake. I didn't have my wife test out the mattress we had. It was an Xped Duo, so I was carrying all the weight. It was heavy, decently wide, although at some point I'll claim she starfished a little bit, and I ended up kind of half off the mattress. So in the morning she woke up and was complaining about being pushed up against the trekking pole in the tent, and how come I had so much room next to the mattress on my side. And I informed her that's because that's where I was sleeping a good chunk of the night, and I stuffed a bunch of clothes underneath me because the ground was cold. But she didn't sleep great, I didn't sleep great. We woke up, all of our clothes that were drying were still wet. So we made our breakfast and put on wet clothes and began day 2. This was August 16th. I know it because it was our anniversary. And that day we had a lot more uphill than we did on day 1. We played leapfrog with a handful of other day hikers that were out there. And I'm sure they meant well, but almost all of them, when they'd stop to talk to us and we're like, yeah, we're going 50 miles to Cascade Locks, they were amazed and impressed, and we were inspirational and amazing. And apparently fat people walking is just kind of wild to some folks, so put up with that for a good while. We had 2 cats at home, and we had hired a cat sitter for the first time ever, I believe. And we had like Ring cameras set up inside the house, or Blink, and sporadically throughout the day we were getting enough cell phone signal to be able to check in, make sure like, oh, okay, what time is she coming? Are they, being fed properly? And as we're getting toward the end of the day, it seems like the sitter hasn't come when she was kind of supposed to, and they were getting hungry, and my feet still hurt a lot, and I really wasn't having a good time, and it was our anniversary. And officially my wife is a backpacker at this point. She's forded a river, she's slept in the dirt, she's a backpacker. So to me, mission accomplished. So around 4 o'clock, and we're off pace again, even for our longer itinerary. And we're coming down into this valley, and I had given my mom 3 pickup points that were like alternate options. And this one, I want to say, was like Lolo Pass Road, the easiest one for her to get to. And so we're coming down this way. There's signs that say a trail magic ahead. And maybe 100 yards from the road crossing where the trail magic was, my wife steps on like a baseball-sized rock and rolls her ankle hard enough that she's got a little bit of a limp now. And I'm thinking in my mind, oh, thank goodness, we're going home. We've got cell signal. We can figure out what's going on with our cats. At this point, it's early enough in the day. My mom lives like an hour away. We could be home for dinner. We could be having to take a shower, clean up, check on the cats, and sleep in our own beds tonight. This is going to be fantastic. So we get to the trail magic. It's down a little ways. Nice RV. Looks like they got a pretty good spread. There's some trash cans by the road, so I dump our trash. And because we're in a valley, we're down here. She's like, where's camp? I said, it's like 3 or 4 miles up that hill. And it looks really steep. So, your ankle hurts. We're not sure what's going on at home. I say we bail. So she looks at the map a little bit, looks up the hill, says, oh, looks like we better get going. We've got to get to camp. Doesn't stop for any of the trail magic. All we do is wave at the folks and, you know, hey, thanks for being out here kind of thing. And we continue our hike. As we're hiking up the other side of the hill, we do get some cell reception again. We do see that our cat sitter does show up. So the cats are fed just a couple hours later than we were hoping for. And eventually we get to the junction for where you turn off to go to, I want to say it's Lost Lake Resort. Number of little campsites in there. I mean, not technical campsites, but where people are camping. We're probably the 5th or 6th crew in there. And there's where we pitch, there's one kind of small spot next to us. Is kind of the last of the visible ones. I hiked down to a, not a stream per se. I don't think it ever was, even though it's kind of tagged as one. Might have been tagged as a spring, and it was barely flowing. So it took me forever to collect enough water. But eventually made it back to camp. Had dinner, all that kind of stuff. And I take off our wet clothes again and kind of hang them outside to dry. And at this point I'm exhausted. We go to bed, and around 11 o'clock I am what I would call violently shaken awake. I'm like, what's going on? It's like, there's somebody outside. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of people outside. We're basically in a campground. Excuse the car alarm. Jeebus. So I'm violently shaken awake, and she's concerned someone's outside. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably just a hiker. It's like, it's 11, it's midnight, it's late. That's not a hiker. Like, probably a hiker. Like, some people just hike all day. Because, you know, we've got through hikers in with us. We've got some people doing sections and stuff. So a bunch of people around us. So I'm not concerned with this whatsoever, even though she's freaked out. What I am concerned with is I hear on the outside of our tent what sounds like raindrops. So wait a minute, is it raining? She's like, yeah, I think it's starting to sprinkle. So I spring up, hop out of the tent because all of our stuff is outside and I don't want it getting wetter. And sure enough, there is a guy trying to pitch his Z-Pack tent, you know, almost right next to ours, the only open space. Give him a quick head nod, hey, how you doing? Grab our now slightly wetter socks, underwear, clothes, and everything. Wring them out as best I can. Say, throw it in the foot box. With any luck, it'll be dryish in the morning. And that is how we ended day 2 on the trail. Because my wife is competitive, she passed up on the easy out. I thought for sure we were going to be enjoying some Olive Garden breadsticks that night for our anniversary. No can do. We hooked it out and ended up on trail for a few more days. So check back. Next episode should be next week. We will cover day 3 on trail, the most adventurous of all the days. And yeah, hear about the rest of the story of my wife's first and so far only backpacking trip. For more information on all the items and trips you do see on this channel, visit my website, topshelfbackpacking.com. Until I see you again, cheers.